but I imagine everybody is waiting on pins and needles to hear what we have to say about Joker.
Oh,
The least talked about movie of the year. Like, no one has a take on this movie. It's weird.
It's out of left field. It's the indie darling.
Oh man.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Who's starting? What do we? How are we doing? What's
I think
going on?
we should start with the most extreme opinion, which I'd say is mine.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
I fucking hate this thing. This is a piece of shit.
Ooh.
This is garbage. This movie is fucking trash. I got to vent about it a little with Gerald, but then when we got back to the house, like my buddy Dan was here. He did Mush Brains with us this week, and he liked it. So I have hit a new stride in my life where I don't shit on things that people like right in front of them. So I let him have that. I told him I didn't like it. I didn't lie about it. I said I didn't like it, but I wasn't about to rip into it. I fucking hated this movie. I think this movie, I went in expecting to not like this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I went in with super low expectations. I didn't go in with a chip on my shoulder. I didn't care. But I went in feeling like I probably wouldn't like this.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't go in expecting to hate this, and I hate this. I fucking hate this movie so fucking much. I can't express how much I hate this movie. And people are like, oh, but Joaquin Phoenix's performance. Bullshit. Joaquin Phoenix is a good actor, but this is fucking Ewan McGregor playing Obi-Wan Kenobi shit here. Like, it doesn't matter that he's a fucking good actor because the material is so fucking shit and hammy. Oh, like, every fucking beat. Like, this guy gets his ass kicked in the first 2 minutes of this fucking movie.
Wait, stop for a second. I just want to say one thing right now.
Okay.
I don't give a fuck. We're spoilering the fuck out of
it. Oh,
it.
yes.
Oh, yeah, this movie deserves... Honestly, I don't even really think, other than, like, what literally happens in the movie, I don't think this movie has spoilers. People are talking about a plot twist, and I'm like, oh,
There's a
no,
twist.
no, yeah, so good. This movie doesn't... No,
there's nothing that you couldn't have, read in fan fiction in 2008.
One of the most predictable movies I have seen in quite some... I literally was like, oh, and this scene's going to happen. The only thing that surprised me, and I will let you finish, is I thought this movie would attack women and minorities a bit more.
It was a bit more of a leftist position than I expected this thing to have.
So that was the only thing. That's the only thing I walked in going, oh, well, this wasn't like hard N words, and no one was called a faggot, and no woman was raped.
Oh, I think that's an important thing to put up front, because there has, like, I have stayed out of the political discussion around this movie because I didn't feel like this movie would. I didn't feel like that they were going to go like in a weird hard right direction that everybody expected it to. No, it didn't. Like, the political discussion around this movie is stupid. Okay. There are politics here, but the discussion that's happening around it, I feel, is stupid. My take on this movie has nothing to do with the politics of this movie. In fact, if anything, its politics were a little bit closer to my own than I felt like it would. It would be. No. My problem with this movie isn't any of that, like, incel bullshit. Like, leave that at the fucking door. This is a bad movie. This is a bad movie that, like, if you would have given... when I was, like, 19 years old, if you would have given me a really good cinematographer, I could have put this thing together. And that's not a compliment.
And I'm going to say, but when did this movie get a good cinematographer? Because I have issues with that there as well.
There's some dumb fucking shots. Don't get me wrong.
I think there's good shots. I don't think this is a poorly made. Okay, but let's have Gerald, and then I'll go with our feelings as well. Like, I think we got your general feelings. Let's go through Gerald and then mine.
All right. When I left the movie theater last night, it was a tense moment between Alan and I as we left the theater.
Ooh,
and
story.
The tension was that Alan was really afraid that I was going to come out and be like, yeah, I liked it. And once I was like, dude, that was complete trash, he was like, oh, thank God.
That's awesome.
Now, and Just real quick, I'll tell you why it's complete trash. First off, I thought cinematography was fine, not great, but fine. The score
Yeah, it's
was
fine.
good.
Mhm.
I did like Joaquin Phoenix's
No,
performance.
there was moments where that score. I mean, it's not the score itself.
It's the
was the
mixing.
problem. Yeah, there was
Yeah.
definitely points where I'm just like,
Okay, it was just you. Because I saw it in IMAX for my press screening. I thought the score was overbearing sometimes, but I
Mhm.
didn't know if it was IMAX or like just the movie.
yeah,
No, that was the movie. It was mixed weird.
yeah. It's like
Okay.
it's what was it that we watched? Oblivion.
Yeah,
I can't remember who did the score for that, but like on its own,
M83.
yeah.
Yeah.
But on its own, yeah, that's probably a good score. But like the scenes that it was over and the beats that they hit with it was
Yeah.
just like laughable, and that's how I felt about some of the parts of this.
But that aside, like I like the performances. I liked Joaquin Phoenix's performance. I love Zazie Beetz. I'm gonna marry that woman one day. And I thought that all around that was pretty good. But the script, the
Oh
plot,
god, yeah.
that was where I feel like I should be paid extra I should get my money back for whenever I watch this movie, not because it's like, oh, I didn't like the film, give me my money back, but because I feel like I added to the ambiance of the theater because I too, like our protagonist and Arthur Fleck, couldn't keep from bursting out laughing whenever like no one else was laughing at all.
Yeah, we were both just like, see, I didn't know if Gerald was going to like, because we were laughing at like the same beats, but I didn't know my fear was that the in betweens Gerald was enjoying, but like. Whenever he reads the letter from his mom that says that, like Thomas
The
Wayne
moment
is
they
his
said
dad.
Thomas Wayne is your daddy, I was like, oh my fucking god.
I got up and I walked out. I was like, I'm going to get more popcorn.
Yeah.
Bye.
You did.
Oh, I mean, I laughed maybe purposely every time I heard Murray. Probably my favorite moment of that movie is every time Joaquin said, Murray, that's not why I'm here. I'm like, what is, again, the last 20 minutes, I'm like, who woke up Joaquin Phoenix? Like, someone came to set finally, but we'll talk.
Because I will say, before Gerald gets back into his thing, I know I just shed on this thing heavy. I really liked the talk show sequence until his final outburst.
Yeah,
Not necessarily the result of that final outburst, but his final outburst was hilarious. It was a fucking internet meme.
All in all, like I walked out and I said this was my most anticipated film of the year, and it turned out being the worst movie I've ever seen. I feel that's unfair. I'm walking that back. It's not the worst film I've ever seen. I have seen worse.
Yeah. Sure.
However, it's still not a good movie. And I feel like the more and more I see things online, even amongst my own friends list, where people are like, it's a fucking masterpiece. It needs what needs to be said about society. And I'm just like, Jesus Christ, dude.
It doesn't say shit about society.
No,
I'm not sure Todd Phillips has left his house.
I'm going to go into that because I want to kind of hold off.
Yeah.
But you said that, the political views behind this movie is fine, whatever. No, I've got fucking umbrage there, and I will tell you about it.
Oh, I mean, if we want to get into the details of it, I'm just saying that my issues with this have nothing to do with the political conversations that have been going on around it. Because I know that there is like this hard left rebuffing, or not hard left because the hard left doesn't care, but like there's this middling like I don't know, lackadaisical liberal rejection of this movie without seeing it. I don't give a shit about any of that.
Yeah, no, that's not my problem.
I will say, I was slightly one of those people who was worried that it was going to be a different movie, and I walked into this movie with issues that I walked away with, like, well, those issues are gone, but I have a whole bucket of new ones. Yay!
Well, it's like the people who are afraid that, it's going to lead to people wanting to be like this. No. If people idolize the Joker before, it's because the Joker as a character has been a charismatic character. He has been, someone that you could look at and be like, oh, that guy's kind of cool. And Arthur Fleck ain't that. He's just a dude dancing in his tidy whities that worked as a clown and one day, accidentally shot someone.
Yeah. Who knew the Joker origin story is Munchausen's by proxy?
Jesus.
Like, just thrilling. Thrilling Eminem backstory here. I'd rather just watch 8 Mile.
Yeah.
This movie is Death Wish with more steps.
Yeah.
So I'll get into mine because I'm a little, I don't know, maybe I might feel more angry about it. I don't hate this movie as much as you two. I don't I think this movie is one of the most like they made a movies I've seen in a while. Like you put images on screen together. As a director, it's directed whatever. I think you have actors who will transcend his directing, and that's what they did. The script is absolute garbage. I think the cinematography's fine. I think the score is fine. Joaquin Phoenix performance, it's literally like if you remove him from this movie, even replace him with some other actors, I don't know if it would be the same movie, good or bad. I just think this movie is, maybe I've seen a Serbian film or the Poughkeepsie tapes or Martyrs. Maybe I'm just desensitized because I thought this was the most like fake attempt at being shocking.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And I was so like, I will say one of the kills in this movie is very gory, and I was kind of like, oh, well, that's interesting. But everything was so predictable. I think Midsummer was more shocking as a movie. I think I saw more challenging things in Hustlers than I saw in this movie. Like, but that's just me as a person. I thought this movie was so tame, and when people are like, it's disturbing, and I'm like, it's disturbing if you've never seen Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer.
Exactly.
Sure,
No,
yeah,
it's disturbing if you haven't seen most like character.
Yeah, it's like one of the
films.
biggest comparisons. It gets two big comparisons to two Scorsese films, which is Taxi Driver and King of Comedy. And those are fair comparisons.
Comedy, I only see King of Comedy in the talk show angle, nothing else of that.
Yeah,
and I don't.
A little bit. I don't know, but like, yeah, I will say those are fair comparisons. But those are both good movies, so just go watch those.
No, it's comparison and the fact that you can say this is what he was obviously trying to do.
Yes, it's like take those movies and synthesize them into the most predictable piece of shit, and here you go.
Yeah, and I guess this is also from the root and the core of this movie. I would have preferred a Joker movie that referenced different movies. I was wanting more A Clockwork Orange. I would have loved like how they handle Alex in that movie. I would have loved something like that for Joker. Like, I don't know. I was hoping, this is just me as a reference point person. I'm not a Scorsese mark. Again, I respect Scorsese director. I'm not one of these MCU people who think Scorsese's bad now because he doesn't like the movies. I wish we could have talked about that this week, but whatever. He's fine. I respect him. Not my type of movie. I just was, again, this Joker movie could have even served better from referencing different stuff that's even closer to the Joker. I think Taxi Driver and Kings of Comedy is not what I would think of in any realm of a Joker. Like, and I'm not saying a source material, just from the root of the character. These were not the two movies. Again, Clockwork Orange, Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer, those are closer things you could have done. Hell, even Natural Born Killers is closer to the vibe of the movie you could have done. That would have been a little bit closer, a little bit more fresh. But we've been homaging 70s Scorsese for a while now, so this isn't new ground either.
God.
Nothing in this movie's new or groundbreaking, and I was even expecting to be offended. Like, me and my liberal ways, I was walking in being like, I want to be disgusted by this movie, even if I can just complain about it, do something. But I walked away with such non-emotions, and I'm so angry.
I'm just like, ugh.
Other than what they do, I've never seen someone hate making a DC movie so much since Nolan. But like I said in my review, at least Nolan referenced the Falcone family. Like, at least he read something other than like the last 5 pages of The Dark Knight Returns. Like, oh my god!
And like the middle of the Killing Joke.
I will say, but the Killing Joke still had. I preferred the Killing Joke handling of the character more, because I was expecting maybe the last 20 minutes, like someone kind of like uses Arthur's kind of mental state to push him to do a Red Hood type of like heist. Like, oh, bro, why don't you do this kind of vibe? And I was like, oh, this movie could have had 85 different better routes, but we did this. The Wayne murders.
Oh,
God. Okay,
Thomas
I just have
Wayne.
to say right there. Because there's a scene in the film where, the Joker is literally in the theater with Thomas Wayne. And I was like, oh my God, this interaction is going to lead them to go out through the back alley, blah, blah, blah. And once they shot away from there and they cut to the next sequence and it wasn't in that back alley, it was, thank God they weren't dumb enough to give me the fucking murder of Thomas and Martha Wayne again. But all I had to do was wait another 45 minutes.
But at least what you just said would have contextually worked better than haphazardly throwing it into this giant finale and being like, oh yeah, that also happened this night as well. And I'm like, what? At least, like, say what you want about Zack Snyder, but at least he put more gravitas to the Wayne murder and Batman v Superman than this. Like,
Yeah,
I've
and
never
at
felt
least-
it was so tacked on. And
At
like,
least he just did that as an intro, like as an intro montage
and
thing.
made it look nice. Like, I mean, the pearl shot in that movie is one of the like most obnoxiously Zack Snyder things I've ever seen. But I at least went, oh my
that's
God. Pretty.
Me and Gerald were cackling entire. Like as soon as we saw that there was Zorro on that marquee, we just started cackling. And, like
yeah.
we were probably the worst people to watch this movie with, or the best, depending on how you felt. But like as soon as we saw that, we were both just like, and as soon as like once there was the pearl shot, the pearl shot in this just cracked us up so fucking hard.
So I have to give it props for that. This was the hardest I've laughed at a movie in the theater in a very long time.
That's true.
So thank you.
I laughed so hard at this Wall Street frat bro singing "Send in the Clowns" like word for word. When did he watch that? Like I had so many questions about that. What that man does when he's on cocaine. Because I was like, what is going on? Also, I don't know, that whole subway scene, I related to that girl when she like looked at the clown and looked at the bros and was like, I'm going to a different cart.
Yeah.
Like,
that is the only person in this movie I related to. Because I felt that way this whole fucking movie.
I wanted to leave. I was in between frat bros and a clown, and I wanted to leave. That's my review for Joker.
And can we just take a second to appreciate that this fucking film, the entire thing of it, hinges on the fact that someone in clown makeup killed 3 frat Wall Street investors. And that's like the entire goddamn premise for this, like, breaking down of Gotham. Like, no one has ever killed someone who made money in the city before. It's like, oh my god, it's the first time someone who is rich has been killed. We should turn this guy into the goddamn Messiah.
It happened so quickly. It went from like, well, these murders happened to the patron saint of Gotham is a clown.
I know.
And that was happening before even Thomas Wayne had called poor people clowns, which again, he really didn't call poor people clowns. He called the person who killed somebody a clown. I, again, was like, oh, we really are doing the you're not listening to everything people are saying, so the media is a bad person vibe. Network did that better than this movie.
Yes.
God, I would much rather watch Network than this. Jesus Christ.
I'd much rather watch Network than a lot of things, but yeah, definitely.
that's true. But like,
definitely this.
But like, yeah, this wanted to be I don't. Fuck this movie.
It's
like,
literally somebody just sat there. They just sat there and watched like 70s character pieces, and was just like, let's just do that. And honestly, that would have maybe felt a little bit fresher if it wasn't just like, this is set in the 70s. We're using the 70s Warner Brothers logo. Like, as soon as that came up, I rolled my eyes. Yeah.
Yep.
If you could have given us like an up-to-date version of something like that, that would have been so much better. But instead, they're like, nope. We're just going to let you know exactly that we're not even an homage. We're a ripoff. Yeah.
It's like, we're not taking that, like, taking things like that and contextualizing them in modern times, it can be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Has been interesting. Could also be bad, but, that would at least be a take. This wasn't a take.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't want to praise this, but like I always felt like Batman v Superman tried to do like a post 9/11 look at things of like, this is how we would handle someone that we would label a terrorist. I was like, at least that's fresher than look at mentally ill people. And I'm like, I'm looking. So you're not saying anything about mentally ill. And again, this isn't the first movie. Fucking Nightcrawler did this a couple years ago in a way better way.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I think what makes me angry is, and I'm not saying I hate being one of those people to tell people to watch more movies, but when people are like, this is bringing up conversations we need to talk about, I'm like, movies have done this for actual fucking
this has been there the whole time.
Yeah.
Like I'm with you. I don't like to get all film snobby and be like, oh, well, they did this and this or whatever. But it's like, this ain't even obscure. Like this isn't even like, oh, well, I've seen it all before. It's like, we've all seen this before.
Yeah.
Fucking everyone has seen this before. There wasn't a beat in this movie that shocked me or surprised me.
But because it has the DC logo on front of it.
Well, the only thing I will say is when people were like, this is a very dark and disturbing movie for DC, I said, I like that aspect next to it. I still think Batman Returns and even Batman v Superman are scarier than this at times. Like,
I agree. Those are at least a lot. I don't even love those movies, and those are a lot ballsier than this, to be honest with you.
That's what I think. What upset me more is like the ballsiness of other movies in the same, even from DC. That I'm like, those people made attempts, and it still liked comic books. I really think, and Todd Phillips like really dislikes making comic books. Which again, my whole thing of him saying, oh, this is a real movie inside of a comic book movie. Dude, fuck off. Logan exists. Like, Logan, I think, is a serious look at like what they do to mentally ill people. Look what we did with Xavier in that movie. Like, come on. Like, goddamn Wonder Woman tried to give us like women in World War I vibes. Like, this isn't the first movie to like touch on a real subject, not even in the superhero world.
It's an R-rated superhero movie. It's like, we've had R-rated superhero
so
movies
is Blade,
for a long
motherfucker.
fucking time. So was Blade. So was Tom Jane's Punisher. So was fucking Logan.
So was Barbarella. What of it?
Yeah. No, there is nothing unique here. This is paint by the numbers as fuck.
And it feels so goddamn self-important.
It does. It really does. I can't say there are a couple of good tension building moments.
Yeah. No, there are.
Are you guys talking about the apartment scene?
God, that's such a good scene. That was a good scene.
I thought it was good. I really was enjoying the first scene with when he goes to see Zazie Beetz in her apartment. I will say, until I looked down and there was a guy in front of me like rubbing his hands in excitement when Joaquin walked into Zazie Beetz' apartment. That scared me because he felt like he was excited about what was about to happen. And I was just like, again, this is much like when people watch Fight Club and not realizing Chuck Palahniuk is a gay man making fun of you morons. And then unfortunately it became like the incel movement. That's the same thing. I'm like, I think you guys are watching Joker through a vision, which this also sucks. Same thing with watching this through the wrong way. If they would ever want to build a Batman movie off this, Batman's the villain of that movie. He's literally the rich douchebag who's going to be attacking Joker, and it's going to be like, look, he's not listening to the mentally ill person. You guys want to talk about Batman being disrespected in like other movies? Oh my God, this movie just hates being a DC movie so much, and I'm upset again when people are like, Zack Snyder doesn't care about source material. I'm like, dude, at least he's read them. At least he read them.
At least he knows what he's disregarding. Yeah.
Again, and I think those are a purposeful deconstruction. As much as he doesn't need to deconstruct Superman, it's not a character that needs it. At least he read up on it. Literally, someone handed like a oneer of like, here's something from The Killing Joke. Look, Todd Phillips. And he's like, that's cool. He referenced the most referenced Batman things. And I'm like, he didn't try. At least I would have liked the Joker story. We talked about it. The one where we see it from a Joker's like assistant. And it's the whole graphic novel through like him
Brian
being like,
graphic novel.
Yes, at least that's, if he would have referenced something like that, I'm like, that's something no one else has referenced. You're trying. Yeah. I never, as a DC fan, been so upset.
Honestly, and if you go back and pay attention to this throughout this conversation, and I need this, I need to point this out because otherwise we're going to get all sorts of responses, maybe in this vein. I have not once referenced it to source material.
Yeah, no.
Or its politics. Those are things that I especially expected to, like, I expected us to maybe come out of this having a political conversation.
I'll get there.
Okay. I mean, and like I said, I don't agree with it. I don't, its politics are shaky or whatever. But I can't even get there, just because I hate this movie on a fundamental, like, filmmaking level. I don't hate it for being against the source material. I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, I expected to care a little bit. Did this, like, is this any Joker that I recognize? No, not really. Maybe there's a couple moments where I was like, oh, okay, maybe that's the Joker. Yeah. But I don't care because.
And I want to clear it up because I'm not normally a source material person either. Mm-hmm. But to me, it's the like blatant like I don't care about it vibe that I got from the movie. That's what I think pissed me off more. It was like, so what if you want to like not reference a comic book, don't do it, but also don't make a comic book movie. Yeah. That's where I'm more upset with this. Is like That's what. Yeah.
Yeah, I expect it to be on your level with that, where I'm just like, why is this a Joker movie? And I agree with you, like, why? But like, and clearly nobody is really referencing much of the way of the source material. I expected to get to a place with this movie where was able to even have that conversation.
Mm-hmm.
But this movie, I think, is so fucking bad that I don't even care. Like, it doesn't matter because this movie is so cliche. Like, there is, and I guess I've already said it, but like, beat by fucking beat, nothing is surprising.
The moment they gave you that whole,
thinks it is, and that's the most fucking frustrating part.
The moment they gave you that, oh, he wasn't really dating Zazie Beetz the whole time. It's like, no fucking shit, he wasn't, you idiot.
Duh.
Yeah, anyone who's seen, again, a movie post-Fight Club or any, like, B-rated movie from the early 2000s understands the illusion person thing. That's, like, identity, high tension. Like, again, these movies, this isn't... Oh, God, High Tension's a better movie to reference for this than, like... some of the other ones. Jesus Christ.
A little part of me was just like, I hope this is real because that's a different take. Like having him have to deal with like having a friend and the fallout from that instead of just being this loner. Like having him have somebody that actually gives a shit about him and still he breaks. Because that at least like takes a little bit from like Killing Joke stuff where he has a family.
Yeah.
It felt like they forced him to be a loner in the movie where there was so many outs for him to like get one. Even with the dwarf, there was a character that like genuinely liked speaking with him. And I'm like, well, he could build a friendship there. Again, I know you're trying so hard to show him that he's a loner, but I'm like, this character is even set up in the movie to not be just a loner. Like he's actively wanting to be. Why is the movie forcing him to be? Like with his athletes, with other characters. I'm like, it's such an odd choice.
All right, I'm going to go ahead.
I thought the dwarf guy was cool.
I'm going to go ahead here because I said that I was going to take it a little bit political, and here we go.
Okay.
And I'm going to talk about the source material and how I feel about this politically in one fell swoop.
Okay.
Perfect.
The reason why he wanted to use the source material was to just think he's being cool by saying "fuck the rich," and that was it. He just want to be like Thomas Wayne's the bad guy. Okay, fuck you, whatever.
But Todd Phillips is rich.
Exactly.
It's just a weird attempt to get in on the zeitgeist.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the problem.
Bad at it.
And when we go back to what, it's like, I will say yes, we need to have a conversation about mental health in America. Yes. This ain't that conversation. It's not like, oh, wow, no, look at all of these mental health problems he had coming up that made him a problem. No, the problem with this type of motherfucker in the world that, like, loves the Joker and idolizes the Joker and the Punisher is the type of motherfucker that came from great fucking homes that, just grew up and it's like, well, I agree with these outlandish views I see on the fucking internet, so I'm going to go kill some people.
Yeah.
So whenever, especially at the end when he's like making his final joke, when he says the fucking words mentally ill loner, I was like, great, you just copied a headline from what every media outlet calls a white gunman in America.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, my dude, you are making the wrong fucking statements here.
This isn't the actual profile of somebody that commits gun crimes. It's not. It's fucking not.
But it feels like he wants you to believe it is.
Yeah, it isn't. That's a bullshit narrative. That's a bullshit narrative that has been a bullshit narrative for a long fucking time. And if we're going to have a conversation about how we treat the mentally ill in America,
we have today, not in the 70s.
We have some very real issues with how we deal with that. Why do we need to set this in the fucking Nixon administration?
Yeah, and at times where that wasn't even a conversation piece. We had some Reaganomics class issues. Again, the class issues in this movie didn't really bother me. I thought that was one of the more, refreshing takes. I thought was like, oh, we're talking about class. I do think Gotham is pretty infamous for having a 99% and a 1% that is mostly Gotham.
And if you wanted to do, like, yuppie businessman, like, bullshit, set it in the fucking Reagan administration. Give us that. Give us a little bit of Wall Street in there. That would have maybe been a better movie to reference for some of the material they're going after. Not necessarily for a Joker movie, but for some of the material that for the things that they thought that they were doing with this movie.
Yeah, like fleshing out the Thomas character by going the Wall Street route. We could have fleshed out Thomas. Again, here's my thing, because we've already spoiled some stuff. If we would have removed the Waynes from this movie and just had the Arthur's mom be obsessed with Robert De Niro's character on the talk show. Let's say she was a page for them, like an NBC page, and she worked with him and had an affair with him. Again, shift the whole plot just to the De Niro character, and it's a same goddamn movie.
No,
and
it's a better movie.
Yeah,
I really think that's the better route. That's why I felt every time we did the Wayne stuff, it just felt so tacked on, and I was just like, why are we doing this? Like, again, because I didn't understand the point of Robert De Niro's character in the movie, because I'm like, why are we watching? Why is she? It felt like we, again, this also I think was a different movie before they got the rights to the Joker. I think this was the same movie. They were just like, we'll just switch everything to Thomas Wayne now, and I really was upset with that. Again, I think shifting it to De Niro's character and really focusing on that comedian talk show route would have been a whole different take on the Joker that didn't, again, even try to touch source material. I guess that's where I go back to the source material thing, was like, it tried to touch it, but like, look, we referenced it. We referenced it. Mm-hmm. You guys can't be angry at us anymore. And I'm like, I would have just preferred if you didn't even get near it. Just
they
like,
referenced them the worst
just don't do
ways.
anything.
Yeah. It's trash. And okay, this is completely maybe not on the point of the things that we're talking about, but why were Thomas and Martha Wayne 70 fucking years old with their only child being 10?
Yeah, I thought that was an odd. Again, I think they tried to do that too, that they can't ever really book this to be Pattinson's character because he's in the 90s. I think that movie's supposed to be set. Though I guess if anything, this made me more excited to see what Matt Reeves can do with Batman, because at least I'm like, at least that one seems to be having fun. And
are they setting that movie in the 90s?
I think they're doing 90s, and they're doing the Long Halloween.
I'm out.
I think
that's an atrocious idea.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That's the early rumblings of it, but I don't know.
Especially if it's standalone. I mean, if it's an origin story for Ben Affleck's Batman, sure. But, like, if it's standalone, there's no point in doing it as a period piece.
That's dumb.
I think so they can age him into stuff. I don't know, but those are the early rumblings. Maybe. I don't know if the 90s thing's set, but they are doing the Long Night Halloween, which is why there's like 5 million villains in that movie.
I mean, I'm okay with that, but unfortunately you can't do that in 2 hours.
No, I think like you could actually set, and also, again, Pattinson should be here.
We've done that. Like, for better or worse, like, Batman Begins into The Dark Knight is, you know, Batman Year One into The Long Halloween.
Yeah.
Like, it's there. We're good. Like, there are shots from The Long Halloween in The Dark Knight. Whatever.
No, and at least one thing other positive about Joker is it makes me never want to see anything else in this universe. So I hope they never continue this or anything. Like, I didn't mind the idea of like Black Label DC movies, and then after saying this, I'm like, unless it's like maybe Birds of Prey will fall into that as well, as just I want these movies to be more interesting. I guess that's why at least I get so hyped about hearing stuff about the Batman or even seeing the Birds of Prey trailer. I'm like, these are ideas and fresh stuff that I would have never thought to do.
As much as I hate this thing, if you gave me a sequel to this where he actually fights a Batman, I might actually want to see that a little bit. I have no faith that it'd be good. But... Yeah,
it's just because it's so odd that then we would have a whole movie where Batman's the bad guy of that movie.
Yeah,
it's like
it's an interesting take on that, but I don't know.
No, I mean, I think this thing is, for all of the hype, for all of the cultural conversation that has surrounded this thing is best forgotten.
I think, and it will be. Though you never know, because again, Joker fans are an odd group of people. I'm not a Joker fan because of the Joker fans. Like,
I'm not a Joker fan because like every fucking idiot thinks they have a fresh take on the Joker, Todd Phillips included. Like, I fucking like. Okay, example, like Scott Snyder, who did like the Court of the Owls stuff in the Batman comic. he also did a storyline called Death of the Family, and then a storyline called Endgame. And those are both Joker stories, and they're fucking atrocious.
Nope, I disagree.
They might not be to you, but I have already seen so many fucking people do this goddamn Joker thing, and every fucking asshole that gets a Batman writing gig is like, I got a new take on the Joker.
All right, I'm going to go
I
ahead.
got a new take on the Joker. Hey, I'm writing Batman. Guess what? I got to take on the Joker for you. Even Grant Morrison, who I love his Batman run, when he's like, oh, I got to take on the Joker, or however the fuck he talks. It's like, no, you don't.
Nolan did the same thing, though. Nolan was the one who was just like, let's do this grungy, like, Agent of Chaos Anarchy one. I'm like, but why? That's not really ever been the Joker's MO. Like, I don't understand why we started shifting him from, like, clown prince of crime, but we've decided, and we'll never get back to that.
I'm not here to disagree with you on that subject, even though I like that movie.
I'm going to take 10 seconds here to tell you why the end game was good. And I know people didn't expect to ever get spoiled on a comic book here. Don't groan over there, motherfucker.
Okay, go.
The reason I like Endgame is because the idea of the Joker trying to convince Batman that he's immortal so that he'll finally fucking kill him is rad as shit.
All right. Nobody has a new take on the Joker. Stop. Quit. Don't. If you're writing Batman, I think they got James Tynion the Fourth writing Batman. If you're listening, you're not. But if you are, don't do a Joker story. Don't fucking do it. We don't need a Joker story for the. Give that motherfucker a 10-year hiatus.
Which I'm sure you don't like it, but that's the only reason I've only kind of liked DC Metal, because at least they revamped everyone in this like weird standalone thing where I'm like, at least it wasn't like in the Joker's a weird vampire now. I'm like, at least everyone's a weird ass character in that.
Wait, did they vampire up the Joker?
I don't know how to explain what he is. Yeah, DC Metal is just a horror version of the comics. Like pure on like who did Spawn? It's very Todd McFarlane meets DC.
Yeah,
which I don't hate.
Which is fair, because I think Greg Capullo's doing a lot of the art on that. Who did Scott Snyder's Batman run, and he was the Spawn guy for a long time.
Okay, cool. Wow, I kind of learned something there, because I don't love it, but like as a little fun one-offs, I think the artwork is just really fun and weird. And for DC, I love when DC gets to be horror movies, which is why I was 2% excited for Joker, because I thought they were going to go horror, and I'm like, oh, you just went like crime drama.
Yeah. I want to come back to it because I glanced over it, but I do like, again, except for that, I'm a mentally ill loner, blah blah blah, who society abandoned. Shoot Robert De Niro in the face.
If he would have had any other joke leading into that.
Yeah, if you'd have had some kind of actual Joker thing instead of just poor me.
If it was knock knock. Literally just he said knock knock, who's there, and he shot him. Yeah. I would have preferred that.
Yes.
That was way more Joker. Or again, I've always been a fan of the Joker who has the gun that just says bang and then there's a real gun behind it. Those are, again, I like Joker who is still sick and gross, but like a clown.
Yeah.
That's why I started liking Joaquin at the end, because I was like, oh, the fun version of the Joker's here.
Yeah,
that, again,
when he's doing the Murray and all of that.
And just walks up and makes out with that like Dr. Ruth lady.
Yeah.
I chuckled at that because I was like, ew, that was so gross, and she's so uncomfortable. But I was just like, those are fun, gross Joker things that isn't the woe is me, I'm mentally ill. Which again, I'm sympathetic for mentally ill people. I'm not sympathetic for this character. Anything they tried, I'm not going to be like, oh.
Yeah,
I feel
most
so
mentally
bad.
ill people aren't aggressors.
That was my problem. Is like, look at what they're saying about mentally ill people. I'm like, well, look what you're saying about mentally ill people.
It becomes hypocritical in that. But I liked that sequence. I liked the shots. I actually liked the way they shot that. I don't like a lot of the exterior shots and the like everything's out of focus and then it's coming into focus. It feels like it's aping like some Wally Pfister shit from the Nolan's movies poorly. In certain aspects, in certain ways that they shoot some outdoor stuff. But there are some good shots in this. And I like the way that they shot him backstage, sitting there smoking a cigarette before he went on.
Blue light.
Yes, I thought that was a great shot.
The one shot of this movie that I thought was actual like fucking art there. I was just like, and there's the stuff that I keep hearing about the cinematography. One or two shots here or there.
and I like the way that they shot that whole talk show sequence because it felt weird. It felt like you were under these blinding like studio lights,
It was
and
tense.
yeah, it was tense, and they built good tension there. And if they had just made him do some Joker shit instead of fucking, I'm a mentally ill loner and you abandoned me and you're gonna make fun of me, I'm gonna shoot you in the face. Bad.
And one last thing I want to point out, because honestly, I think I've got all my vitriol out.
Mhm.
But one thing I do want to point out is that sequence of him dancing in full makeup and full gear on the staircase, much cooler in the trailer. Not cool to Gary Glitter's Rock and Roll Part 2.
Yeah, we don't really like to play pedophiles music, which I guess I bet you Todd Phillips gonna go, it's a choice because of how dirty and weird he is. That's the song I use. And I'm like,
No,
bitch,
motherfucker.
like,
You
might
just
as well
picked
have
up
Woody
jock
Allen directed
jams
that
from the
scene, man.
90s, and you're like, yeah, let's go.
Yeah, I thought that was a choice. I thought that was honestly one of the more interesting choices in the movie. Not a good one.
They tried to be edgy and artsy there without trying to be edgy and artsy. Like, I really feel like maybe he's just dumb and didn't know that, like, we just don't really play that song.
Unless you were at a minor league baseball game.
There was another song after that I liked that I was like, well, that's a better needle drop than the other one. That I was like, oh, okay, this is, I don't know. What a weird movie. That I'm like, I wanted to like, in the sense of like, not, I wanted to have feelings of this movie, but I truly was just like, oh, okay. Oh, well, forget about that.
It's
by
a
the
movie
year's
that
end.
wanted to be weird, and it's not. Yep.
Same.
We'll leave
Like I
that.
said, I got mine out.
Yeah.
I feel vindicated. I feel like I've let something free.
I will say, like, I was trying to describe the way this movie felt to me to Lacey Day. And I was like, and not really knowing her opinion on it because we haven't had that much of a conversation about it. I was like, this is like a this is this generation's Requiem for a Dream, and she goes, "Oh God!" And I was like, "Yep, exactly."
Oh.
Yep. So.
No. Requiem for the Dream.
One Aronofsky movie I don't love, even though Marlon Wayans in a serious movie is a choice.
I feel like that movie had more to say than this. I'm sorry.
No, I know. I do think that movie at least had more to say in the mental illness side. I thought the stuff with the refrigerator was more terrifying than anything in Joker.
Yeah, that's fair.
But again, that's a better director.
Yeah.
Whatever you will say about Aronofsky, at least Aronofsky, I think, is way more skilled behind the camera. At least.
I hate that you're making me say this, but yeah. Like, I hate Darren Aronofsky, and I
only
hate Requiem for a Dream.
To Phillips.
Yeah.
The Wrestler was great, though.
I do like The Wrestler.
I love Black Swan, so those are my
Black
two.
Swan
And
was
Mother was an experience
haven't
that
watched Black Swan.
I will never regret saying Mother because that was fucking hilarious.
But yeah,
Mother was more tense than Joker.
I believe it, but as much as I've made that comparison to something that I hate, like Requiem for a Dream. Yes, Requiem for a Dream is a better movie than this thing. So, oh my God, I love that we just end with like silence because we're just like,
it's out, dude.
Honestly,
it's just so heavy that it's just weighing on us, man.
I didn't expect any of us to love this movie. I didn't expect this to be the conversation.
Honestly, I walked in less hateful, and now I've walked in more like, fuck this movie. Like, I was pretty like whatever on it, but now I'm like moved my whatever meter to like, oh God, whatever in a bad way. Just like, I'm done talking about this. I think this is my like, I'm done with this movie after this conversation. I'm just gonna forget about it until Oscar season. I have to remember that it's a thing.
Because thankfully, this movie like did me the best favor of all. It's not like, we talk about it constantly. I hate The Dark Knight Rises. I hate The Dark Knight Rises in a way that keeps coming back to me because like it's almost good or there's good things in there that could have been better. It nags at me. As soon as we hit the stop button on this, I'm done with the Joker. Easily. It's not going. I'm not going to think about this movie again because the best thing we can do about this movie, what this movie deserves, is to be forgotten. Is to not be a part of the cultural conversation. It's not. There's nothing in here worth being part of the cultural conversation, good or bad. It's not a good movie.
Michael Moore says otherwise, and we should always listen to that asshole.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't know if you saw his glowing review that's saying that every American should watch this movie. And I'm like, well, damn it, Michael Moore, if I didn't already see it, I would have skipped it then.
Yeah. Oh, God. Fucking leftist against Michael Moore. That's my fucking
This is a
group.
Michael Moore directed DC movie. It's just like, it wants to say some shit, but I'm like, you're saying something. You're not saying anything, but your words are coming out. Yeah.
Yeah. Fuck. Yep.
Fahrenheit 9/11, the DC movie.
Fahrenheit Joker.
The title of this podcast.
Gotham Bacon. Yeah.
Thank you for joining us from this week on the
Flickering Myth podcast.
I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
I'm drained.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a heavy duty one. I forgot that this was an episode where we talked to Tori about good things.
Yeah.
Yeah, she got you excited for The King, and we ended with this. What happened?
I don't know.
She got me even more excited for Jojo Rabbit.
Yeah. I'm gonna go back to the middle of this episode and just feel the way I was feeling then. But yeah, if you're on the fence about Joker, don't bother.
Yeah. I mean, no. I don't know. I can't tell anyone how to feel about this. I can tell everyone how I feel about it.
Watch it on HBO. You'll be fine.
I will say, like, my biggest confusion after seeing this movie is the 70% on Rotten Tomatoes. Because, honestly, and I have to reiterate, because I feel like everyone is giving the pass. Like, Joaquin Phoenix's performance, unremarkable to me. Y'all can feel differently, but didn't do anything for me. I think Joaquin Phoenix is a fine actor. I think this material is so shit that no one could do it well.
I said it in my written review. The last 30 minutes is where it's good. The first hour and a half is him perfecting his demo reel of weird laughs and kooky moves. And they're all, he's a good actor. So like him doing things, it's not like atrocious on screen, but he's a good actor. So everything he's doing, it's not much like the movie. It's not surprising me because I just saw You Were Never Really Here or like fucking Inherent Vice. Like this isn't a shocking performance from Joaquin.
Nope.
It's just, I think it's a whatever performance. I like that it's a little hammy because that's the only fun. And I don't think a movie needs to be fun, but the hamminess is the only time this movie got good.
I wish it was hammier.
Can I ask a quick question that I forgot to ask about this film?
Yeah.
Did we ever figure out if he actually did have a mental portion where he laughed whenever he wasn't supposed to, or was that something that was made up?
So much. I think that was the Munchausen's thing, but also it also gave me nervous tick vibes because I know people who do that without a medical condition. Like when I remember getting yelled at in high school, and I like that nervous chuckle I do when I'm like, oh shit, I'm supposed to be serious, but I'm nervous. So that I was just like, that's a tick for some people. Not a full mental illness. Again, Todd Phillips is not the person who should be dealing with mental illness movies.
Because
stick to paging Dr. Faggot in your movies. That's where his strong is.
But I mean,
I'm gay. I can say that word for anyone.
Just for clarity.
You're not Randy Orton. But if it's a real medical condition that we're supposed to assume he has, then literally it only comes out when the script calls for it.
Yeah.
It does.
That's the worst part. Is like if it came out in other times, like, oh look, he's taking a piss and he starts laughing. Whatever. I can buy it. But otherwise it only comes out whenever it's necessary for the plot.
All I'm taking away from this is that Todd Phillips is an incel.
I agree. It's the official stance of this podcast.
Fine.
All right. Are we good?
Yeah, we'll see him next Tuesday. Let's go.
You can find us online, flickeringmyth.com. We are part of the Flickering Myth podcast network. We're on all of your favorite podcatchers. Subscribe, do all that stuff there, please. It's helpful. You can email us, podcast@flickeringmyth.com. Let us know your thoughts on the Joker, or wait for the mini on YouTube, and subject us to that YouTube vitriol that we love.
Feed me.
Or, honestly, you can do that. But as I said, I'm done with this. So if you loved this, I don't care. That's fine. Good for you. But I don't, and it is the opinion of this podcast that this isn't a very good movie.
Official.
Yep, we have varying degrees of that, but I think we've all have the consensus that this isn't a very good movie. But yeah, I think that about covers it. So for Tori Brazier, who is no longer with us because she left halfway through the episode, she's very much alive.
I was like, she's with us. Like,
she's with us.
She's just working, bro.
So for her, I'm Alan Christian.
I'm Gerald James.
And I'm EJ Marino. God, we all sound so depressed. Bye.
We'll see you next Tuesday. Get joy out of that, Joe.